Come join Kyle, John and David as they go through what's on the playlist. Find out what's everyone's favourite at Chicken Soup for the Soul Entertainment. We have a few segments, to be honest. In and out points, no celebs and the gossip. Back in time where we're talking about the big M's, coming attractions, what the cue. Quick checks, who'll be laughing? You abundantly. Welcome to Dual Redundancy.
Yes, welcome to Dual Redundancy, the only podcast where you can hear all latest in television and entertainment news with too many hosts with exactly the same opinions. I'm one of those hosts, David Allen, and another one is...
John Berwick, and the third one is...
Kyle Bridger. How much did we have to pay for the voiceover there?
Your salary.
Oh my God. All right. Well, I will say that I am the Ted Lasso to John's The White Lotus to Dave's Succession. I was nice to Dave this time around.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, now, those are the three shows we're going to be really focusing on tonight because those are the three leaders at the 74th Primetime Emmy Awards, and we're going to break everything down that happened in last night's Emmy ceremony. And we also going to celebrate a little bit. This is our 400th episode of the podcast.
Wild.
400 of these, and there you go, John. John's in the mood to celebrate. Obviously, we put a new kind of coat of paint on this thing. We got this great new intro video.
Some of it.
Yeah. But now they got the intro video made by John Berwick himself. We got a special, I guess, rap that we got from Jack Fox. You can look him up on Fiverr. Yeah, it's a cool. Whole new thing for, the next 400 episodes. But yeah, so... we do have this first segment, and he mentions it in the song. I already forgot what it is. John, what is it?
In and out points.
In oder out. In oder out. In, out, in, out, in, out.
Yes, it is in and out points. And in the intro, it says, there's no gossip in the celebrity stuff. We're kind of going to break that tonight, though, with our single in and out point. We weren't going to do really any at all this week, with the Emmys. But then there was this, I guess, piece of spit that was felt all around the world. Yeah, we're gonna break down the Don't Worry, Darling drama from last week. We just missed the recording. It just happened after we recorded, so we got to break this thing down. I'll set it up, and then we can go in depth on this madness. It's been a multi-year saga, and I'll just set up spitgate. Shia LaBeouf was first cast in the film, and Olivia Wilde then fired the star and replaced him with Harry Styles, who then she started dating. The timeline of which is a little murky, like with the Jason Sudeikis relationship ending. We don't know the specifics on that, but however... Shia has since shared texts and videos and how he may have actually left the project, and that it was Olivia that begged him to come back and that she would work things out with Miss Flo. Well, speaking of Florence, Miss Flo Pugh, there's been an ongoing rumor that she had a falling out with Olivia over the course of production, whether it was due to the relationship between her and, her co-star and the director, or something we just don't know. But we do know that she was nixing a lot of her promotional tours and interviews for Don't Worry, Darling. She was supposed to do, though, the Venice Film Festival. But then, she's filming Dune. Her plane was a little late. And we did get this interview from the press conference with two other stars from the film. Let's hear that first.
My favorite thing about the movie is, it feels like a movie. It feels like a real, go to the theater film movie that you kind of the reason why you go to watch something on the big screen. I think
so that's Harry Styles just kind of describing how this Don't Worry Darling movie is. It feels like a movie, like the one that you would go to the theater kind of movie. And we got the camera on Chris Pine who's like, what am I doing with my life? Why am I here?
Yeah.
What do you think about at least this setup so far? Chris Pine, Harry Styles, this interview quote, Kyle.
Well, the thing is from what I know about Chris Pine, or from what I read about Chris Pine, is like he's a legit actor. Like he's a well-read actor. And then he's sitting next to some dude who's like, you know, playing at acting. And then I'm sure he's already sick of the, because when you get in these press junkets, it's like interview after interview. And he's probably just like blinking his life away, like wondering what the hell is happening. And, you know, there was a lot of hoopla surrounding about this movie, about how like interesting it could be and all this. And then you have this guy that is just like playing at being acting when you have a real actor there. It's got to be the most obnoxious thing ever, especially when Harry Styles, I think in an interview, said himself, he's like, yeah, I don't really know what I'm doing. Yeah. So it's like, how did you get this role?
It's just like a fun little side project he's, doing. This multi-million dollar movie that employs hundreds of people and put a lot of time and energy into it. It's just a little side thing I'm doing for fun. This movie.
But I mean, with all the backlash and with all the Shia and the Florence Pugh stuff and all that, everyone that had to come into this press junket had to know that it was just going to be an absolute mess. So it's just like, here we go. Can I just make it through this thing?
Yeah. And it looks like from these images and these memes of Chris Pine, he was struggling to make it through. He was definitely struggling. When Florence did arrive, she came in style. She was ready for it. She had a drink in hand. She's like, all right, let's go. That's a way to arrive to Venice, the casual stroll up. Love it. And she made it to the red carpet. We got some red carpet photos, and there was a lot of people I saw online, like the internet really noted how the red carpet photos and the seating at the venue were like very staged, like where everyone, it was like very deliberate where people were standing, where it's like, because even like Styles and Wilde are not next to each other.
Yeah, because
Florence and Wilde are not
together,
next to each
right?
other. They're supposedly, but they also arrived separately, and you can see here they didn't sit next to each other. So there's rumors. It's like, oh, is there something going on between them now? Like,
yeah.
But yeah, so the seating was very, suspect. It was definitely a deliberate choice. The main issue, because we're talking about the seating, the whole reason this is an issue is because Chris Pine and Harry Styles ended up sitting next to each other, which led to, I think, the thing we all have seen hundreds of times. We'll play it again here, spitgate. He walks up to his seat. Looks like maybe his lips are a little, make a motion. I don't know. And then you see Chris Pine like kind of look at his hand, like what the hell? Like what happened? And he just like stays there frozen. Stops clapping. And yeah, so I got to ask you, John, did Harry spit?
I don't know. I mean, what reason does he have to stop clapping and like look like what the hell just happened? I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, we need like forensics on this. We need to slow it down frame by frame, like CSI it.
Yeah, well, there is another side angle from the side.
I didn't see the side angle.
Yeah, so there is I'll have to see if I can find it and send it to you guys later, but there is one from the side, like Olivia's side angle, that's looking toward Harry Styles. And from that angle, there's no like projectile spit. It just looks like Harry Styles puts down his head, and Chris Pine, I think, is looking at his sunglasses when he goes down. Yeah. But I mean, Harry Styles could have said something there. We just don't know what it is. And then later, I think in this wherever they're at here, they are seen joking together.
Yeah.
So from what I can tell, I don't think he spit on Chris Pine, but dude, this whole cast, there's just something going on here. And if you're the director of the film, it's like everything but the film is the main part of it.
The film.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of those, like, is any publicity good publicity at this point? Like, people are talking about this film, I don't know, for the right reasons, but it's just like, it's so wild because it is one of those things where it's like the timing is so perfect. You couldn't, even Nathan Fielder in the rehearsal couldn't have planned out, like, him coming and making that face and then him pausing. And, like, it all was timed perfectly. And I did see the thing about the sunglasses. You know, people have thought that maybe Chris, you know, wondered where his sunglasses were. He zoned out just like he's been doing all day.
Yeah.
He just zoned out and he's like, oh, they're in my lap. And then it's kind of like a polite laugh to himself of like, oh, here they are.
With how Chris Pine was looking through the press junket, I wouldn't be surprised if he was just high the whole time, just trying to make it through.
Yeah.
And this was part of it. And he's just like, this is how I'm going to make it through. Because even after, once the lights go down, he puts on his sunglasses like he's about to take a nap.
I got that next too. It's just like, so it's like he's done. The lights go down, sunglasses on. All right, I got a 2-hour nap here. Like, I've seen this film. I'm done.
Yeah.
It's just, I just don't think like, there's probably no spit. I mean, but it's just wild because Chris Pine's like reps had to like come out and say like, no, there's no spit. This is a ridiculous story. Like, can you imagine like those PR people? Like, we have to do a story on this. Seriously, really?
I mean,
but
that is what you sort of pay people for that. You know what I mean? For that, like,
I guess,
you
but
know.
it's just like, I really have to do it over this because, I mean, these people know what they're doing. Where it's like, why would he ever? He knows every camera is on him right now. Why would he deliberately spit like right now in front of everyone at a co-star? Like, it just doesn't add up.
I think it's more likely that maybe if there is some beef happening between Olivia and Harry or whatever, maybe Styles gave, because Harry's British, gave a cheeky response to him sitting next to Olivia, and then Chris Pine being like, I'm just going to look down because this is kind of awkward kind of thing. I could see that being the case too, you know?
Yeah, it's possible. Yeah, it's just I am curious because like, hey, how many of these things are like perfectly like planned out like with the seating? I'm sure like it's so much like this is your assigned seat. This was deliberate choice because of the pictures we're gonna take, and then the optics we want to present. But anyways, after the film, we got the usual standing ovations, and I'm gonna rant a little bit about this like recent press reporting about every single thing on my Twitter timeline now at all these like festivals like TIFF and Venice and all this stuff. It's like, this film got a 7-minute standing ovation. This film got a 9-minute standing ovation. This film, 13 minutes. It's
who's doing that?
I don't want to be there
sitting there. It's like
for 13 minutes, man.
The movie, the end. Stopwatch. Okay, here we go. Okay, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
It's just like.
And when it's really just one dude in the theater, everyone's already cleared out, and one guy's just sitting there clapping still.
Could I go to one of these things and just clap for like 30 minutes straight? I'd be like the only one.
A Nathan For You episode. We bolster the rating by having one person clap for 24 hours.
Yeah, that's possible.
24-hour standing ovation.
I don't think we should stop there. I think we should incorporate other things. We should start the wave.
There you go.
We should do other things to really get this party started.
But yeah, I'll just say real quick, I went to the Cannes Film Festival. I attended that, and every film that premieres gets a standing ovation. All of them do. It could be terrible because the actors are there. So like they'll show the actors on the screen one by one, depending on the answer. Like they go on, and the 7 minutes, 9 minutes, it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything. It's the dumbest reporting. But here I am talking about Spitgate. So what am I doing? And there was also people on the internet seeing this standing ovation and all the clapping and noticed how Florence Pugh did not make eye contact with Olivia during this moment where they were all kind of celebrating each other and, like, oh, look at this person, look at that person, that's this person. So it's like, oh, does that, reinforce that there is a possible beef between the two?
Well, I mean, I think that's pretty well established that there's a problem
something
with those two going on. And I mean, they respected each other enough she respected Olivia enough to come to the premiere and sit there for it and make the film
and not
as
spit on
requested.
And not spit, that's true.
And not spit, yeah.
She didn't stay for the full, 7-9 minute standing ovation or whatever it is. She left. But then there was some celebratory kissing going on.
God,
it wasn't with Harry and Olivia. It was actually Harry and Nick Kroll. I gotta ask, Nick Kroll's in this movie?
Yeah, I know. Enough that he would be coming to the Venice Film Festival.
He's like in the top 6 people in this movie?
I guess so. Well, I think there's a video of him that he took on his social media where he's driving up and like all these people are like looking for a movie star and he's making the fun of the fact that he's a nobody.
Yeah.
And he's just driving by and he's like, yep, just Nick Kroll. Just Nick Kroll, you don't know who I am. Yep. And they look in and they're looking and it's like, no, I don't want a photo of this guy.
It's just funny to me because like I literally saw this video of like Harry kissing him and I'm like, wait, Nick Kroll's here? Like, what is he doing here? Yeah, he's in this movie. Like this, I had no idea he was in this movie until.
Is he in the trailer?
I don't know. I think I kind of stayed away from a lot of trailers, especially like this one, because I feel like it's a very like mystery and like what's actually it about. So like he might have been in it. I might have just like blinked and I missed him, but like I just forgot he was in this movie. But yeah, so there were some hugs, there were some kisses, obviously maybe some spit, who knows, but there's so much more we could talk about with this story. We don't have the time or the energy or the facts, but like I did see that like, I mean, there's the whole Ted Lasso saga part of this, because obviously we were talking about Olivia and Jason, but you know, there's this possible cameo that Florence Pugh was supposed to be in. There's footage, or at least stills, from Ted Lasso. It looks like maybe season 2. I know her boyfriend at the time, Zach Braff, does direct a lot of episodes of Ted Lasso, so that's probably a little bit of a connection there. She was probably there. I don't know if they filmed this in London. I don't know, but it's just interesting. Like, oh, why was this cameo cut? That seems like an, who knows? But there's some connection, I think. Olivia, Jason, Florence, there's something. But
yeah, I don't know. There's something going on there. Clearly.
Yeah. Well, I mentioned Ted Lasso, and that's actually a great way to lead in to our main topic tonight. In order to talk about it, we have to go back. So send us back.
We're back, baby.
Gotta get back in time.
I didn't lip sync this time.
Yes.
I did it to
Perfect.
the fullest.
We could have got Jack Fox, the guy who did the intro of this, to do. That was going to cost him extra, though. I don't know if I could afford him yelling, "We're back, baby!" But
instead of $5, it's $100.
there you go. Yeah. So this week's Back in Time is all going to be about the 74th Primetime Emmy Awards that took place last night, September 12th, on NBC and on Peacock. It's been we always talk about the Emmys. You know, we had the nominations. 391. We did a whole clip show of all the Emmy nominated shows, and then we did our predictions just 2 episodes ago in 398. But tonight we're recapping everything that took place at the Emmys. We'll talk about the awards and then also the ceremony a bit later on. We got to start off, of course, with who was leading going into the night. And we're going to start off with Succession. Succession led with 25 nominations, followed by Ted Lasso and The White Lotus with 20. And those were your leaders in drama, comedy, and limited series, respectively. And then after that, we had Hacks and Only Murders in the Building with 17. And then Euphoria right behind that with 16 nominations. But if you look at just the major nominations, that's the ones we saw last night. It was the same top 3 shows. Succession with 12, White Lotus with 11, Ted Lasso with 10. So those were our stats going into the night. Let's see how things shaked out when we look at the wins. Overall, the total wins, these are everything, from Creative Arts and last night. The White Lotus with 10 wins, Euphoria and Squid Game with 6, and then Adele, One Night Only, The Beatles, Get Back, and Stranger Things all had 5. And then if we look at the ones that had multiple major wins, those are the ones we saw last night during the broadcast, only 5 shows received more than 1 award. Which is kind of actually funny because Kenan did actually at the start of the show was like, tonight we celebrate the hundreds and hundreds of shows that were produced last year and then give awards to 5 of them. So those 5 were The White Lotus with 5 wins, Ted Lasso with 4, Succession with 3, and Abbott Elementary and Squid Game with 2. That's how everything shook out. Kyle, what do you think about how everything went, the top 5, everything there?
I think we expected the White Lotus to really clean up in that category. So I'm not really surprised by that at all. Ted Lasso, maybe a little bit more surprising because I feel like it had a strong competitor in Abbott Elementary. But it's still well beloved. A lot of people still like it, so not surprised by that. And Succession is just a behemoth, a juggernaut at this point. In writing categories, in all these categories, directing, acting, all of these things, it's really well received. A lot of people love it. We love it. So I think it's all well deserved, and I don't think it's a surprise at all.
Yeah, and we kind of mentioned it in the prediction show where it's like last year as well. They kind of go all in on like 4 or 5 shows now. It's not like spread apart, like, oh, this show gets one. I mean, there was a couple like, oh, this thing got one. This Ozark, Julia Gardner got one. Like stuff like that does happen. For the most part, though, it's like these 5. These are the 5 shows we watched. These are 5 shows we're sticking with, and we got that here. So there was points where I'm like, really, like, did they need Ted Lasso with 4? Really? But I can't quibble with The White Lotus. Succession, I love that. Squid Game, Abbott Elementary, those all make sense. I just wish it was spread out a bit more, and we'll get to that.
I mean, personally, I wish it was spread out a little bit more because Ted Lasso, I think we would agree that the first season was stronger than this season that was nominated. So I think it could have gone in another direction. I think we could have seen more for Abbott Elementary, definitely.
So we're going to go now kind of category by category. And, we'll jump around with the ceremony involved as well. But I want to start off with limited series. And we called it. It was pretty much a given that it was going to be White Lotus. It was going to be White Lotus. All of our Will wins did it. Like, we got 2 supporting actors from the White Lotus. It won for series. And we got back-to-back wins for Mike White in writing and directing. Loved the Survivor shout out. I was like, I
didn't know that. I didn't know that he was on Survivor.
He was a finalist in one of the more recent seasons. That was probably one of their better seasons. So if you're looking for something to watch, check out David versus Goliath. But yeah, he's on that, and he was on The Amazing Race, I believe, years before Survivor too. So it's like this weird.
How is he getting on this show? He's like a big time. I
think it's because he's just a fan, and I think you call Jeff Probst up, and you're like, hey, can I come? And he's like, oh, sure, yeah, we'll take it. But yeah. So and then the other wins outside of White Lotus, there was 2 categories it wasn't really represented in, and that was the lead performances. And we had Michael Keaton for Dope Sick, and then I will say I picked this one, Amanda Seyfried for The Dropout. She was there for lead actress. So those were the wins there. And this starts going where I had issues with the ceremony, with these specific wins here. Because one of the things I really did not like with the ceremony was I know they had a DJ, Kyle, but I don't know about his picks for some of the songs for these wins. I mean, you have some of the most iconic theme songs for The White Lotus and Succession, both of which have won Emmys for the theme song. So instead of playing those theme songs when they win an award, we play Best Day of Your Life for Marie Bartlett. And then for when Jesse Armstrong wins writing for a drama series, they play Shake Your Booty. What?
I don't know if DJ Zed is up on the tracks from whatever. He's probably touring and doesn't even give a crap. He probably doesn't even know what those shows are, honestly.
It's just wild because like when they did the series wins, they played the correct theme song, but for the acting wins, it was just like, all right, Spotify shuffle, give it to me. It was just like, what are we doing?
Maybe it was more for the crowd than it was for the winner.
But pick some more contemporary songs, maybe. I don't know. Get this more upbeat music going. And then my other complaint was the timing of speeches. I mean, we start off the night. We always do this. The clip packages are there in the beginning. And then as the night goes on, there's less and less clips. And then you just see the faces of the people because we got to go shorter. But we start off with this extra long speech from Michael Keaton. I get it. He's Michael Keaton. Okay. But then the rest of the evening, it was like 15 seconds apiece for these people. And, you know, you got Jennifer Coolidge there. Literally, it's like, wait, hold on. And like, they start playing Hit the Road Jack as the second song. And she's just like, well, I'm just going to just start dancing. Like, what can I do here? I'll play it. But I just don't get why, like, people are tuning into awards shows not for, we'll get to this, Kia ads and Peacock, you know, promos. They're tuning in to see their favorite actors and actresses say something, to react. And we're just going to cut away from that? Like, it just doesn't make any sense when the most talked about events of the night that we'll get to were the speeches, not the host bits that they ended up doing, the things that they pre-planned. It's the unplanned stuff that usually does the most, you know, viral stuff on Twitter.
Yeah. But the thing is even with the shortened speeches, I mean, we got it in on time, and they tried to run the little bar across for who they're thanking as well. But I mean, what did we spend the other time doing? I just am confused. How it just felt like everything was rushed, but yet there was nothing, you know, I couldn't figure out what we gave the other time to. Was it just advertising?
I don't know if it was ads, it was dumb bits, but like, there's categories I think we maybe should snip out so we can give more time to the people that have won an Emmy and not are trying to sell me a car. But yeah, you mentioned like the lower third there. I did like the use of this, but like I feel like it should have been used more. Like there was times where it's like, okay, you can list all your agents and team members on here, so you can actually maybe give a speech about something or like show us some real emotions instead of just naming, you know, John, Kyle, Mike, this, that, this. It's just like, I don't know what any of those are. But then there's like, they didn't use it for anybody. Like, I mean, Michael Keaton didn't get one. He had a 15-minute speech. It's just like, what are we doing? But yeah, to talking about some of the speeches, I mean, probably some of the most talked about speeches were, you know, Lizzo, Cheryl Lee Ralph, Quinta Bronson, and in a sense, Jimmy Kimmel. They had these buzzy speeches, and that's the stuff that people are talking about the next day. They're not talking about the bits, and that can actually like lead in to our discussion of comedy, the comedy winners, because we talked about it. It was going to be either a Ted Lasso or an Abbott Elementary night, and it seemed to be going back and forth at least a little bit here. What did you think about the race between those two? And then also, you know, some of these wins and speeches.
Yeah, so I honestly thought the way the night started, I thought it was going to be an Abbott Elementary night because that's how it seemed like it was going. But I did like the little bit of mixture because then we get a little bit of both, you know. I was in and out on the speeches, so I did see a little bit of Cheryl Lee Ralph's, and I know it was very inspiring. She poured her heart out and said, you know, never give up on your dream because of all the hard work that she went through. And I think even after that, I was seeing things on Twitter from like her past. So it was like even like where she came from and old clips of her. And so I think it helps bring more exposure to those people. As far as Quinta Brunson's, I mean, the minute I knew when she won, I knew that people were going to start talking about it on Twitter because you had Jimmy Kimmel doing his bit there. And what I phrased it to you was like, in Jimmy Kimmel's mind, he's a comedian. This whole thing is absurd. We're just all egomaniacs celebrating ourselves. We're giving ourselves awards. This is probably the silliest thing ever. Yeah. But then people who really care about this thing and think that you're taking away from this moment by, you know, laying next to her as she's trying to give her speech, which in and of itself has to be distracting.
Yeah. Because even she was just like, all right, I won. The bit's over, Jimmy. Like, get up. Because I
expected him to get up when she won, or at least like roll off the stage or something. Get the hell out of the way. But I just think like it's weird because like he has hosted Emmys and Oscars and stuff before, and obviously he has like this carefree attitude with things. But it's like he should also know as like
somebody who is a performer, and it's like, yeah, people work really hard on this. Like when he was hosting the Emmys and he was doing his bits, if like somebody else tried to upstage him, how would he feel? Like, like it's like this thing where it's like, yeah, like this is her moment. Let her have her moment. You had yours coming out. Okay, now get off. And, especially because, again, as I mentioned, everyone only gets 10 seconds now for a speech. So it's but yeah. So as the awards were going on, first we had Cheryl Lee Ralph with the supporting win. We did have our Will win in that category. I'm trying to actually remember who we had. We had Hannah Waddingham for Ted Lasso. But then we had a dark horse of Janelle James. So we had...
Just chose the wrong horse.
We chose the wrong person from Abbott Elementary.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next category for supporting actor in a comedy, there was no contender from Abbott in the category. So we got a repeat win from the very big girl, Brett Goldstein. I'll say
What a weird line that was. What a wild line. It just came out of nowhere.
I don't understand how this even happened because, so Lizzo was reading off the teleprompter for this win, and she goes, and the Emmy, who is in her own way a really big girl, I didn't write that, they did, goes to Brett Goldstein. I don't even know how that even how did that even get on the teleprompter? It doesn't, make sense.
It's like they copied and pasted something that was meant for Lizzo and then put it on the end of the lead up to whoever was going to win. It was a weird one, but I think he played it off too.
He played it off. He played it off well. Yeah, the only thing I could think of is Lizzo's show was called Lizzo's Watch Out for the Big Girls, but even still, she's reading off copy for supporting actor.
Yeah.
So it's I don't know what happened, but he played it off well. But yeah, so it was this back and forth of wins, and then we got Quentin Brenson in writing. I'm like, oh, we're maybe leaning that way. But then Lasso came back, at the end there. One for directing, Jason won, which we had Bill Hader in that category with Jason as a dark horse. And then for series, I will say we had that initially as a Will win. Last week I was like, oh, I think the tide is changing. I think it's Abbott. I'll switch those Will win and dark horses, but ended up being Ted Lasso. And yeah, I just really thought the tide was going that way with how the night started. You heard the applause in the room, the support for it, especially when, Ted Lasso had a lukewarm second season that was over a year ago. I thought people would have forgotten about it. Maybe it was like, oh, we awarded it when we did last year. This year it's Quinta's year. Maybe they're like, okay, well, we gave her one for writing. Maybe later we'll give her one for series or directing or, something like that. But yeah, it's just, there's like this precursor award, the kind of casting awards, like casting for a comedy series, casting for drama series. Usually they match up. And this is the first time under this new voting system where it failed, because last week at the Creative Arts, Abbott Elementary won, but here Ted Lasso won. So,
which is interesting because they're both like strong ensemble shows. So.
Yeah. I will say my main complaint with the Ted Lasso wins was actually in the directing category. To me, I saw a lot of people on the internet as well kind of back me up on this. I really thought Bill Hader should have won for Barry. Specifically, he had the episode 710 N. So 710 North, and it was the episode where there was the kind of race, with the bikes and the whole situation of going through traffic and just the highway and the stunts and everything involved with that. The tense moment where you're like on the bike with him, and to me that is excellent directing. And with Ted Lasso, it's like I feel like every episode is similar and the same and nothing groundbreaking and new when it comes to directing. Maybe writing, but not directing. I don't know. But yeah, so
yeah, I just think I just wonder sometimes with how that voters think is like, are they looking at it as a collective? Are they really looking at the one episode alone?
Yeah.
Is the one episode alone to gather enough of how the show was as a whole? Like, especially if you're not a fan. Like, if you're legit just a voter and you wanted to check out the episode alone, is that enough context to get the vibe of the show, you know?
Yeah, I think at points it is like almost like a popularity thing, and it's like a name recognition thing. That's why I was even surprised where it's like, oh, Ben Stiller maybe didn't win for Severance. Like I thought, oh, Ben Stiller, check the box, which he also deserved. I mean, that was a great bit of directing. But let's move now to drama. And I will say overall pretty happy with drama again. I mean, I can't argue with Succession winning. I mean, because I love Succession. We had a dark horse of Matthew McFadyen win here over Kieran. I'll give you that one. I had a couple changes that I got, but this one was yours, Kyle.
Yeah.
But even my fiance, we were watching it, and she was just like, as soon as this happened, it's like we both were like, I love Matthew McFadyen, I love Tom, but it's like I think it was Kieran this year, and that's what she said too.
My thing was like, last year was Kendall Roy. This year was the year of Matthew McFadyen, and this was his kind of breakout. Like he's going against the family. He's doing in that sense, in the shape of the season. I felt like it was his. As far as acting moment, Kieran Culkin for sure with that scene with the cell phone and in that moment. But I think as a whole, for the season, it was Matthew McFadyen. That's why I was leaning in that direction.
But for me, I was like, I thought, well, again, I love Matthew McFadyen. The very end was like that was the moment at the last 30 seconds of the last episode that were like, oh, like that moment. But like the other 8 or 9 episodes before that, he had moments, but like I just feel like Kieran was more present in those moments throughout the season when he came in with a moment at the end, which it is kind of funny because it's like he was the one person to win for the show. So it's like the moment where the 3 Roy kids are all in the room and he comes in. Spoiler for season 3. Well, it kind of happened here. He was the winner and they were the losers. But other than that, all of our will wins won again. We did really well. Like, sure, we have a will win and a dark horse in each thing. So we have double shot here, but all of our will wins won here, including another one I called. I will take the credit for Lee Jung-jae for Squid Game, lead actor in a drama series. Great win, historic win. I will say, that category was so stacked with Jeremy Strong, Adam Scott, Brian Cox, Bob Odenkirk. Man, I was really bummed to see. I figured it was going to happen because that's just the luck we have with the Emmys. But to see Bob Odenkirk, shut out, Ray Seahorn obviously lost to Julia Gardner, and Saul completely snubbed again. And
so, but they still have one more year, right?
Yeah, they have one more year. But I'm really worried for it because, Saul is now 0 for 46. It's never won an Emmy. Nothing in technical, nothing in acting, nothing in writing, nothing for this show, which is mind-boggling already when all these other shows, Stranger Things won 4 or 5 this year alone. Like, come on, like really? And they have nothing. And I think like there's a lot of talk online today how mad they are that it was like snubbed and, oh, don't worry, next year the final 6 episodes are eligible. But I'm like, I don't know if they didn't have the momentum now, when Emmy voting was happening during the final episodes, during Ray Seahorn's episode of Waterworks, with the finale for Bob Odenkirk, if they didn't have it now, are they really going to have the buzz a year later?
They should be
a full year later.
They should be winning multiple now so they could sweep next year is really what should be happening. You know what I mean? Like it's just,
and that's kind of what happened with Breaking Bad, the final season, where season 5 was split up A and B, and season 5, the first part of the final season, won all these Emmys. It was eligible when the second half was airing. So people were like, "Ooh, these last episodes of Breaking Bad are really good. I definitely got to reward Breaking Bad." And then next year, it's like, man, those episodes were really good, so we got to reward them again. I just don't know. I think it really is, like, as you were saying earlier, Kyle, that people don't like either watch the episodes or it's name recognition or what, but it's just like, oh yeah, Julie Garner, Ozark, we rewarded her a few times. Let's give it to her. It's like, well, did you see their submission tape that they submitted, or did you see the work of Ray Seahorn the entire time? Like, you're doing it this episode or that episode. Like, So I don't know. I know John.
It should have won at least for writing at some point, and at least a directing at some point. At some point, I mean, just the performances, take those out of the equation. It is such a well-written show that, I mean, there are multiple episodes throughout its catalog that should have been possible winners. It shows you how ridiculously hard it is. But it's hard not to reward. Like Squid Game, if Squid Game wins, I hate to say this without it even coming out and knowing the performances, but I think if Squid Game wins something again next year, I would be disheartened because I feel like it snuck in there. It would like pushed in. It was like one of those things that was like a movement, and it's hard to stop something like that. Because I with Better Call Saul, I forget how good it is, and then I watch it and I'm like, oh man, this is so good.
I think it's going to end up like The Wire. I think it's going to be like The Wire and have 0 wins, which is sad. I really am bummed about that, John.
No, I agree. I mean, how many years in a row is this that we're saying, why isn't it winning? It should have won.
6,
right?
I mean, not in a row, but at least 6 seasons. Yeah.
So it's crazy, and it kind of devalues everything for me about the Emmys. I mean, like, you know, some of these shows I haven't seen, so I can't really judge if they're better, but I've seen a lot of these shows, and you know, Saul's up there for me, and you know, I guess it's based on people's opinions, so they could have different opinions, but like, I don't know, I don't get it. This is like maybe peak TV ever for me right now, and it's not even, I don't know.
Yeah, to me, I mean, with the performance of the main guy in Squid Game is really well done, but unless they were purposely doing this to make fun of Americans, which is possible, Squid Game kind of went down a notch when it had just that most absurd line reading by those like white dudes, the American guys from the, you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
It was just...
Yeah. Which Kenan brought up again in this ceremony. They did a bit with that.
Yeah.
But
which was funny. That was one of the funnier ones.
Yeah. But I will say, you know, we're talking about the snobs. I'll talk about 3 wins I really liked, and then we can talk about the ceremony. 3 wins. These were actually in the creative arts, and I'll mention them here. White Lotus won for Outstanding Original Main Title Theme Music, definitely deserved.
Mm-hmm.
Severance won for Outstanding Main Title Design, those opening credits, definitely well deserved. And our boy Tim Robinson won Best Actor in a Short Form Series for I Think You Should Leave. An Emmy Award winning performance by Tim Robinson. Good for him. Good for him. That hopefully will give us a season 3. I really, like, you know, Netflix, come on. We're getting some awards here. But
I really hope he just makes Coffin Flop TV.
Yeah. So any more, you know, exciting wins before we talk about the ceremony? I'll read off one from the chat here. Silver Blue 63. I'm glad the White Lotus was a winner. I really enjoyed the show. Hopefully something else is coming from them. Season 2 is coming. Silver Blue in October.
I will say, I think White Lotus, when it came out, was just such a juggernaut. I mean, it was a while ago now. I remember
about
it
a
being
year
like,
ago.
in the pretty much in the pandemic still. So, that was a good show, good ensemble show. As far as wins that I enjoyed, dude, it's like it just rushes over me, and then I lose it. I forget everything. So I'm sure there's some that I'm missing, but I can't say that there weren't too many egregious wins or anything like that. I think it was fairly well deserved.
It was a good year for TV. Maybe not the greatest year for the ceremony. Would it surprise anyone that the ratings were a record low? The initial data shows that about 5.9 million tuned in last night on Monday compared to last year's 7.9 million. That's a 25% drop. As far as the demo, it was a 1.0 in the 18 to 49 demographics. That's the lowest ever. Okay, yeah, sure. We're comparing it to a Sunday versus Monday show. But you compare it to the last Monday show 4 years ago, it was still a 41% fall overall and a 54% drop in the demo. So ratings are down.
Yeah, I think this is more of an indictment of broadcast television.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think it's anything more than that. I don't know how many people are watching broadcast TV anymore. Everything's digital, everything's streaming. So, you know, with the advent of streaming and the pervasiveness of it, it's like, why am I going to watch an award show when I could just go watch the next show? You know what I mean?
When you can watch the highlights.
Yeah,
Exactly. Tune in to Do Redundancy and just watch, the recap.
for sure.
Let's talk about how Kenan did. Kenan was the host, Kenan Thompson. Thoughts on Kenan, Kyle?
I thought he was fine. It's the same thing with all these. I thought he was safe, fairly safe throughout. That's what the word I would use. There's some interesting bits. I did like the Squid Game one because they make fun of Lorne Michaels. I didn't love the opening dance thing. It felt disjointed to me. I felt like, why are we doing this almost? But they always like to do the song and dance routine, so that's fine. I didn't mind the Kamal Nanjiani bar bit. And the Good Burger thing, I think that's like a nostalgic thing that brings people back, so that's fine too.
Yeah, I just wish they did more with that. With like you got Kel just saying the one line, like actually put him in a sketch or do something. I don't know, but yeah, I safe is a great word. Yeah, I love Kenan from SNL, and he's entertaining us for 30 years, as they were saying, but. Yeah, there were some good moments and zingers. I like kind of the Showtime, Paramount Plus zings. There was one where it's just like, Stranger Things is hard to watch because it's scary. This one's hard to watch because of this. Yellow Jackets is hard to watch because it's on Showtime. Yeah. And it's just like, okay. Boom.
A lot of those jokes, the Netflix jokes were like that, even though it's very real.
Yeah. But yeah, I just felt like, pretty tame, the same. You have like, and it's like, he has the SNL team probably at his disposal. I love when Bowen Yang joined him at one point.
That was a good one.
But like overall, this and the entire ceremony just felt very, as you said, disorienting, disjointed, just off. And this opening dance especially, first of all, just the choices for the shows that they picked to do the theme songs. You got Friends, Brady Bunch, Game of Thrones. I understand they are all popular, but it's also, I feel like, a bit that they would have done in 2012. They were doing bits of Game of Thrones, like, and nothing says 18 to 34 like the Brady Bunch. And it's
I know.
Let's call them out. Let's say we got them in the audience. Where are they? Let's get the camera on them. It's like,
I was watching it, and my girlfriend was in the background, and she heard Brady Bunch, and she just yells out, "How old are they?"
Yeah, here's a story. And then out of all of them, Stranger Things was the only one actually even eligible this year to be up for the awards. All these other shows are dated. They're not eligible. Like, it was just an odd choice. And it just felt like it was not well made together, where like each one would end. You would see them like, take, the set away. Let's set up the next one. It's like, have it be all seamless. Like, this is your opening. It just feels like little 30-second vignettes. It's just, but one of those was the Law and Order dance remix. And there was actually a lot of Law and Order in this episode.
Yeah.
We had this long commercial about this like Law and Order event. This first time, all three series, I watched it. Oh man, all three series are going to be combined. Okay. We go right into the Emmys. And there's like this, somebody stealing an Emmy statue, and then it cuts to the audience. And it's like, again, this is so slow. Like, I'm like, what is happening? It's paced and directed really oddly. And then we cut to them in the audience, and then we're waiting, and then they finally are like, oh, yep, they always need us to go save the day. And then we cut back to them running around, and this kind of like weird like cyclorama of footage of them running around in the studio there. And then the VO, 2 cops no one wants to see defunded. Please welcome. It's just, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Like, it was just so like odd.
Yeah. There was one where it was like clearly an ad in like the middle. I'm like, I fast forwarded through that because I felt I was behind.
Was the Kia ad?
I think so.
car
I
ad?
was like, no, this is an ad. You're trying to play it off. Yeah, I couldn't. I was like, nope, I'm done. Nope. Fast forwarding.
This was like, because like they set it up. They had like a presenter or Kenan or somebody like set it up as like a pre-taped bit. I'm like, oh, it's going to be a comedy bit, and it's like the same line 4 ways, and it shows how different like editing can do it. No, it was a car commercial that is disguised as this, and it's like, who are these two? Could you at least have gotten like 2 people that are Nicholas Braun and Quinta Bronson, put them in a car together and do a bit. Like it's just, what are we watching? And then after this, it then led to real commercials. I'm like, oh, you got me. You said, and I just felt like jaded for having to sit through that. But it just overall the transitions, the cutaways, everything just felt really weird and just like off.
The transition with the Sam J. The announcer, I couldn't. There's got to be a better way to transition. And I mean, some of the lines were okay. Some of the lines felt off. It felt disjointed, not timed right. So then the comedy's off.
Yeah.
She kind of stumbled on a few lines, so that it took the comedy away from that. There's got to be a better way to transition that. I don't know what it was, but that was not working for me. And it's not her fault. She's doing the best she can.
It's just like, I think like, you would think, okay, you got, we're celebrating the best in TV here. And it's like, we should have like the best writers and the best directors and all these people like making a really good show to show television. And then I was thinking about them like, well, wait a minute. Those best directors and best writers are in the audience getting nominated and get the awards. So it's whoever's left over is directing the show. That's what's happening here. But there was like a point where there was like some clip package, and I was dying to try to find the thing so I could take a screenshot of it. But like they show a clip package, and then they go to a table immediately after it. It had 5 empty seats, and then 2 people there that I didn't recognize at all, just emotionless and bored. They had their hands on their face, and it's just like, why did you pick that shot? Why? Put a camera anywhere else in the theater. And if you're going to choose that shot, be like, hey guys, we're coming to you in 5 seconds. Show something. Show some emotion. Something. It was just like, you picked an empty table. Like, I don't know.
The interesting one for me was, I know he's an NBC property, or was at this point because he's not an SNL anymore, but having Pete Davidson, I know he's a likable dude, but he had, like, there's no way he's not high when he's doing one of the top 3 categories. You have Pete Davidson come in and introduce it. I don't understand. Have him do one of the other ones, and then he can do this or that. I mean, granted, he said nice things about Kenan. Great. But he was making fun of the fact that he doesn't say stuff from the teleprompter, whatever. But I'm like, for the one of the final 3, we're talking Pete Davidson. He's dressed like a janitor. It's coming out. You know what I mean?
Yeah. There was a lot of just weird choices and like timing issues. And there was there's no time for speeches, but we had all these like long presenting bits. We had points where we got to get rid of these 2 categories. I'm sorry. Everyone and their mom can predict them every year. Saturday Night Live, John Oliver, get them into the Creative Arts Emmys. Do something. It's the same every single year. And this year, there was 2 shows in Variety Sketch Series. SNL, The Black Lady Sketch Show. That's it.
Yeah.
What are we doing? Like, it's just like, that's like 10 minutes right there that we can give out to, other people to make their speeches a little bit longer. Do we really need Lorne Michaels for the 15th time?
NBC is going to let Lorne Michaels do whatever the hell he wants. So no surprise there.
Yeah. But it's like, this happens on the CBS broadcast, on the ABC broadcast. It's just, and then we're cutting to blatant Peacock series ads that were like, here's Jake Lacey to talk about this thing. Oh, I love television, and I'm in a new television series myself coming to Peacock. Take a look. It's just, and there was like so much actually of like, of network kind of promotion in this. And all those like montages, they were so heavy on network TV shows. I saw so much CBS, so much NCIS, The Neighborhood. They all got these like, those shows got like specific lines in the montage. And like, you guys are not even nominated. Give me some, whatever, Better Call Saul, Euphoria. Like, they're actually nominated. Don't give me NCIS.
Yeah, one of the longest clip presentations or clip entrances was the one for Grey's Anatomy, the Freddie Highmore and the woman from Grey's Anatomy. I'm like, why? What are we doing? Is this like an in memoriam to Grey's Anatomy? Are we celebrating? We're really celebrating Grey's Anatomy here? But it took forever, and then they walked out. I'm like, we needed the clip show just to even know who these people are. That's why you did this. But like, why? Why couldn't we just say from the good doctor, Freddie Highmore, and I don't understand why I need to see Grey's Anatomy. It's been on forever. It's an institution at this point. Just say she's from Grey's Anatomy.
Yeah. Just in case you don't remember Grey's Anatomy. You just got to give you a little refresher, Kyle.
We're going to celebrate the doctors by showing the actors that play doctors. It was the stupidest thing.
Yeah, I'm not a doctor, but I play one on TV.
Yeah.
And one last thing I'll bring up before I have one last point. My last nitpick was kind of the in memoriam. Every year, they did this on the Oscars the same way too. Stop showing the performer so much and then having the person who is in memoriam so far in the background on the screen that I can't see who they are. They did this countless times. Show me that full screen. I love John Legend.
Yeah, I was going to say John Legend did great though.
Oh, he's great.
Yeah.
Establish him in the beginning, establish him at the end. He's singing the whole time, but show me the people, not, on a screen so far back, or just present it better. Have him actually in front of it with the screen behind it, something, but don't give me this wide shot where I have to look like with a magnifying glass to see who's...
Or like a moving shot, close-up, mid-shot of him with those in the background, much, much, much more clear. Yeah.
But, all right, that's it, I believe, for the ceremony, unless you guys have anything else to say. I just want to bring up the kind of HBO versus Netflix of it all, because that's always a story that everyone loves to report on. Heading into the night, it was HBO and HBO Max. They led with 140 total nominations. Netflix, however, had 105, followed by Hulu with 58. And again, if you look at the major nominations, it was 50 for HBO and HBO Max. Hulu actually in second with 26, and then Netflix with 23. Actually, I believe that's correct. I might have gotten that mixed up with the wins here, because the total wins actually for HBO and HBO Max, they won with 26 versus Netflix's 23. So they won, again, in total wins. If you look at the major wins, though, HBO and HBO Max, they had 12 wins during the ceremony. Apple TV Plus was second, actually, with 4, and then Netflix with 3. So Netflix got third place. Technically, HBO Max got 4 times as many as Netflix during the actual ceremony. So it was a big night for HBO and HBO Max, obviously with Succession and The White Lotus just cleaning up.
And I wonder what the actual shows to nominations, like if we did like a percentage, it'd probably be much more in favor of HBO Max, just like higher quality content.
Definitely.
But
all right, well, that's the Emmys. That's it for now. We're going to talk about, the next award show, the Oscars. That's coming up. Get ready, because that's going to be coming up sooner rather than later. A lot of movies coming out for that this fall season. But before we get there, don't have any time tonight, but we're going to do it anyways. Some very, very, very quick checks.
Quick check.
Yes, we're off next week. Let's squeeze these in. Kyle, what is your quick check?
So I watched the full series Resort. I can't remember if I did the premiere or not.
I believe so.
Okay, but yeah. So it's very mystery heavy. We follow Chidi. Sorry, I can't remember his name. And Kristen Miliotti's character. They're kind of a couple struggling, and that whatever they're going through is somehow kind of linked to what happened in this resort back in time. There's kind of some supernatural element to it. They team up with these other cast of characters to try and find these two missing individuals. And I was this is one I was looking forward to each week. I was interested in the mystery of it. I found the characters interesting. I found their problems to be legitimate, especially these the couple here. Their problems were real and gave it that base to sit in when the rest of it was kind of this aura, supernatural. Like, how does this all fit in? It makes you think about. It made you question life in a different way. My only issue was they introduced this one character earlier on for the creation of the resort, but I had a hard time figuring out how he tied into the ending of it all. So that would be my only complaint. But overall, I found the mystery interesting. I think it's worth checking out. If you don't have Peacock, I don't know if it's worth getting Peacock for. So.
You can get it now for the Emmys in 4 years. I mean, might as well get early.
Yeah.
But all right, so that's The Resort. We're going from a tropical paradise to what, John?
A game called Hard West 2. I did not play Hard West 1, but I was offered to try this as I get offered to play a lot of games, and ended up really liking it and playing through the whole game. Basically, it's a turn-based, kind of role-playing game where you're controlling a team of bandits who had their souls stolen by the devil, and you're trying to get them back. And then the combat revolves around, like I said, turn-based on a grid. And what kind of makes this game a little bit unique is two things. One, which I really enjoyed, was there are some cool ricochet mechanics where maybe if you don't have a good shot on somebody, you could bank it off of a couple things in the environment and still hit them. And the second one is that while you're playing, you have a hand. Every character has a hand where you could put cards in it, and as you play, you get more cards. And so maybe at the beginning, somebody has a pair, and that enables certain abilities, but maybe later in the game, you can get a royal flush, and that enables a lot more abilities. And so the way you mix and match these hands allows you to do certain things, like one character can trade his health points with other players or even enemies. So if they have low health, they could trade with an enemy, and they now inherit the other enemy's health. The other enemy loses health. Or maybe you want to do that with one of your teammates, because one of your teammates does more damage, the more health he lost. And so there's a lot of mechanics and stuff that kind of go in that way. And the game was a little on the shorter side, but I really enjoyed it, and I definitely recommend it.
I always stunk at turn-based games, man.
I do too, but that doesn't stop me.
Like, what console is it on?
Right now, I know it's on PC. I'm not sure if it's on anything else. You can get it on Steam. So
okay. All right. I got one last one to talk about, and I'm talking about The Patient. It's a series on FX on Hulu, or on Hulu, I don't know. It's August 30th is when it dropped. There's been 4 episodes so far. I've only seen 3 of them. I'll give you the official log line. This is what it's set up as. It's a therapist, played by Steve Carell, is held captive by a serial killer, Domhnall Gleeson, who seeks help to curb his homicidal urges. And I feel like each episode so far is almost like a play in a way. It's definitely like, I feel like a COVID type show. It's there's flashbacks, but it's a lot of these two individuals in a room. And one of the best things about it, each episode is 20 minutes. It's 20-minute drama here. And each one ends with a moment like you're ready to see what the next one is. Like, there's that cliffhanger kind of thing. So it's paced well where you're wanting more answers as they drop new questions at you. Again, I've only seen 3 so far, so really I've only seen like an hour, regular 1 episode of most dramas these days. But I'm intrigued. I'm curious of where this is going. It's billed as a miniseries, and the thing I'm most confident about the show is it's from the creators of The Americans, so I trust them. I'm along for this journey. I don't know where it's taking me so far, but like I will go with them because of how great The Americans were. So I'm gonna keep checking it out. Again, short episodes. The Patient.
I love Domhnall Gleeson, dude. So I didn't even know this was out. I got to check it out.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of under the radar right now, but yeah, there you go. That is it for this week. We're actually going to be off next week, and then we're going to be back to our Monday schedule on Twitch. Monday the 26th, I believe, will be our next one, and we're going to be finally settling up the box office draft. The summer will be over, so we can figure out the total numbers and what happened with that draft.
Oh, God.
We could also possibly discuss the industry finale, which is coming up. And then we talked about at the beginning, Don't Worry Darling's coming out. Maybe we'll see that and we'll actually figure out what's going on with that, if we should be worried. And then come October, we have a lot coming up on the docket. Blonde, Rami Season 3 is coming, The Midnight Club, House of the Dragon finale, The Lord of the Rings finale, a lot of stuff happening. So definitely make sure you are subscribed and ready to go. YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, the blog, doreduncy.com. Like I said, we are live Mondays on Twitch, twitch.tv/doredundancy. You can follow us on Twitter and on Instagram at doredundancy. So make sure you know everything of what's happening with the podcast over the next 400 episodes, hopefully. Again, 400 episodes. It's wild, and I thank you guys every week, but I really got to take a moment to thank you guys this week for just allowing me to take you on this journey every Monday, just placating me, just making me happy with this. For John, from being a day one, episode one audio engineer on this, for all the video work, the audio work, the just getting it up, all the tech stuff, couldn't do it without you. Kyle, I think you're closing in on 300. I think you were a little after, but still, it's so many episodes, so many hot takes.
This is like a time capsule now, dude.
It really is. And again, I just appreciate it so much, and hope you guys are having fun, and hopefully you're ready for a few hundred more.
Waiting on a few hundred paychecks, I think.
Yeah, you're going a little out. I didn't hear you on that one.
Yeah, I'll say it louder for you.
Okay. But until next time, I'm David Allen.
I'm John Berwick.
And I'm Kyle Bridger.
And this is Do or Duncy. Goodbye, everybody.